I did my blog on this on Friday, but the title that I put up on the Google Docs is slightly different to this one because I got a bit confused. So the definition of student engagement is defined as occurring when a student makes a psychological investment in learning, which means that they're not only taking pride in their grades, but they actually want to understand and internalize and utilize the knowledge that they get from the class. The reasons for lack of student engagement often come from a lack of parent engagement with the material, poor academic performance, work/family economic needs, so what kind of socially economic background the students come from, and the fact that the students don't really get enough individualized attention when they're trying to learn. So the first reason is lack of parent engagement. Lack of parent engagement is often seen as a necessary factor to ensure that a child's successful in school. If parents do not value their child's educational needs, then the child's going to think that education isn't particularly important, so they're not going to excel and they're not going to engage, meaning that they're probably going to end up not getting as far as they could, or if the parent engaged with them, they'd get further. It must be seen that involvement is not the same as engagement. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines involvement as to enfold or envelop. It defines engagement as to interlock with and to mesh. When schools involve parents, they're only kind of leading with their own interests at heart, but when they engage parents, they're asking the parents what they think they can do to improve their child's education. Poor academic performance is another key factor involved with student engagement. It's been suggested that third grade reading proficiency is an indicator to how well a child will engage with what they're being taught, because it's thought that after third grade, children aren't really learning to read, they're reading to learn. So if they're struggling then and it's not picked up on, then they're going to have trouble engaging with material later in life. It's also indicated that success in middle school indicates whether a student will have trouble engaging in the future. That's because in middle school, students are bombarded with so many social changes that they can kind of get a bit lost, on the way to getting where they need to be. The next reason is family economic needs. And Rumberger and Lim found that students from a lower socioeconomic background were less likely to engage than students who were from a higher socioeconomic background. And that again can come from parents. Research has suggested that parents who come from a lower background, it's not exclusive to all parents and all backgrounds, but it's found that mostly parents from a lower socioeconomic background don't really have time to engage with their children's education, whereas parents from a higher socioeconomic background got there because they themselves were pushed by their parents. We're upside down. This study also found that students who work 20 plus hours a week were less likely to engage because they just didn't have time to engage with the material. Okay, this is quite a big one, and the majority of my slides are on this, but significant research suggests the impact of individual attention on student engagement is a massive factor. John Hattie conducted a meta-analysis of 50,000 individual studies and managed to rank 136 strategies in order of their effectiveness. 3 of the top 5 were feedback, instructional quality, and direct instruction, and they all rely on the teacher to individually acknowledge the child's success, student's success. Carousel Day School has brought forward 10 ways to provide individual attention to a busy classroom. The first one is to publish the work. This authentically recognises the work that the students do in the classroom. There are a few better ways to recognise child success than publishing work, and whether this be hanging it in the classroom, putting it up in the school, or putting it to the general public. Another way is to stay moving. This is because if you're teaching a class of 18 to 28 students, you can't just focus all your attention on one student until they fully understand it. You've got to make sure that everybody has a grasp of what you're trying to teach, and then if students are struggling, then you help them, but you can't just focus all your attention on one student because they are really struggling, unless they're really, really falling behind with it. Strategic seating. Seating arrangements are usually put in place to ensure that desired behaviours are met by the students, and it's also useful when you want them to do group work if you sit them with people who are good with group work. But it can also be used to enable teachers to focus on individual students. Like after a few weeks in the classroom, you can tell which students need more help than other students. So if you basically kind of sit them towards the front, then when you're moving around, like it just makes your life easier when you're moving around the classroom to try and aid children learning. Effective grouping. This can be done in multiple ways. You can group them by ability, interest, readiness, or student choice, or any other parameter. They're still grouped, and you know how they're grouped. This can improve the quality of individual attention that a student receives, and it's not just a teacher that can offer attention. If you sit them with the peers, sometimes they may get distracted, but they're more likely to get support if they need support, rather than if you sit them with people that they don't really know, because they're not likely to talk to them or discuss anything with them. The next one is peer recognition. As previously mentioned, students' peers can help them. Perhaps not in the same way as a teacher can, like with content, knowledge or authority, but in ways that are important to the student that can be helped. Use technology. Technology is a really, really important way to kind of honour students. Like, you can publish a student's work via technology, and you can also allow peers to connect with each other. And you can also bring in the student's family and the local community as well to see what the school, how the school progresses and stuff. Another big one is avoiding norm referencing. This is like, if you analyse a student achievement based on the entire class, it's going to kind of dehumanise the student, if you know what I'm saying. Like, this is how you can make a student feel insignificant and like behind. And criterion-based assessments with flexible criteria are a really good way of individualising students. And using these, you can still kind of strive for the academic side of it that you want. Project-based learning is also really flexible for framing academic standards into the curriculum. It moves away from the one-size-fits-all instruction and forces teachers and students to find their own way through the academic content. So they're not just being spoon-fed, they're actually trying to find their own way to it, and they're more likely to take in more information because they have to work for it. Okay. Oh, it's right there. Vague assessments such as great job or needs more work are useless. The more specific you can be as a teacher, the more authentic and personalised it's going to feel to the student. And you need to value creativity, you need to put like open-ended assignments towards it, and incorporate individual student voice and choice. And there are great ways to honour students as individuals. And this can be done by providing really creative examples when you set assignments. Like if you put a creative example, they're more likely to follow it because it's an example and they've been given it to follow. Okay, so in conclusion, there is a lack in student engagement, and there are many reasons for it. And they can easily be fixed. You need to engage parents, improve academic performance, focus on students who you know kind of come from a low socioeconomic background, as controversial as that might sound. Provide individual attention to students, and you can do this through multiple avenues. Okay, any questions?
Do you think the emphasis should be on the schools to keep the engagement levels higher, or do you think it should be on getting the parents more involved?
I think it should be both. Like, because parents should be engaged in what their kids doing. Like, you just should kind of be interested in what your child's doing at school. And schools kind of, it's their fault that they don't really give parents any kind of avenue to kind of get involved, really. So I think it's down to both parents and school to get their children engaged. Okay, thank you.